wrong in your life is your fault. And it doesn't even matter if that's true. My point is, believing that is the first step to fixing it. Everything that's wrong in your life is your fault. Right? The reason we live in the new Roman Empire, the reason we're enjoying this decline right now, it's my fault, right? It's my fault. Yeah, I was referring to an introduction to column graph complexity and its applications. Good book. So I think we'll start. I'm going to do some reading review, some things I've read in the last. Curtis has a Substack, and I like this. A techno-pessimist manifesto. You should text her. Oh, I left their fridge open. Hang on. Nighttime coffee, we're reading.
¿Qué show? Buenos días. Vamos a ver, escuchar este auto de fondo, es como una hora. Va a hablar de effective acceleracionism y no sé, como qué show con el mundo, ¿no? A ver qué nuevas tendencias no nuevas tendencias, sino como pues una vista bastante filosófica y política de este vato respecto a la actualidad y la tecnología y cómo tenemos que ir avanzando, ¿no? Es un buen punto en el año como para pensar en estas cosas y llegar a la familia y maltripear de que, güey, dejen de usar su celular. Entonces vamos a escucharlo a ver qué tiene que decir y vamos a programarlo mientras.
I stayed around and read. I listened to a whole lot of Peter Thiel lectures too. Peter Thiel's been saying some good stuff lately. Molebug's a bit stale. Not really. I mean, what do you think's better? They got Trump. I mean, there's no right. Let's avoid short-term thinking and start thinking more long-term. Right? So maybe beyond the 2024 election. Though, you know who's been killing it lately? Tucker Carlson. I mean, look, he still has his problems, but you can see the stories Fox News forced on him and the stories he can now post on X, right? Like a full defense of Julian Assange. The journalist industrial complex will allow no competition to the journalist industrial complex. Julian Assange was, if there was any integrity and any prizes in journalism, he's the greatest journalist of the 21st century, right? Yeah, I mean, Tucker can... there is a sense, unfortunately, there's sensationalism that I don't always like about it. But, I guess that's what it takes to sell news. I don't know. I don't appreciate the sensationalism, but in general, I think his takes are quicker. What's the current perspective of Americans? Well, I can speak to me and my friends, and I mean, look, it's regard what they're doing to him is insane. But I don't know if that's general American. I'm not sure what the general American thinks. You'd have to look at polls. So this one's a little political, but we're not going to get super political here. We always try to avoid talking about any controversy of the day. Right? Well, maybe we'll start with the Peter Thiel thing. Peter Thiel lecture. He had very interesting. Let's see if we can get the transcript of this. I think it was this one. I don't know. I was listening to them. I love my folding phone, guys. It's in the other room, but I got a Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. Absolutely love it. If you're gonna buy a folding phone, buy that one. Don't buy the OnePlus Open. It's literally twice as fast, and they have QDL restore files. I'm still fighting with OnePlus. He's so sad what that company's become. But yeah, no, Galaxy Z Fold 5. I absolutely love the phone, and I wish I trusted Android to be my primary phone operating system. Maybe I'll come around to it. Well, I mean, is Tucker Carlson's sort of a journalist. I mean, yeah, these are the people who are actual journalists, right? Not just the extended press secretaries, right? So let's see if we can get this transcript. Maybe someone can find it.
Es el último café.
Come on. I actually saw the transcript somewhere. I read the transcript and then I actually listened to it today. I have a show transcript, but I don't want the crappy. The crappy YouTube transcript.
Mucha gente que no tiene nada que hacer.
Transcript. Can we at least zoom in on this?
Como yo.
No, we can't. No. You know what? Actually, I think if we just search for one of these phrases. No.
Pero tengo ahorita start task button is
oh, come on. All right, I didn't prepare enough for this video. Well, good.
When I was undergraduate.
They had a transcript of it, I'm pretty sure.
Editor settings.
Where did I read it?
If the smartest.
No entiendo el init split, ya jala. Editor.
I will give a channel point to anyone who finds this. I don't know if I can give away channel points, but
function.
Oh, I think it was in Pirate Wires. Check out Pirate Wires if you haven't too. Pirate Wires is Mike Solana and people. Where is this?
No, sí está bien. Vamos a dejarlo ahí en el editor. En el editor vamos a dejar.
They have it. They have it somewhere.
Here, setting up split.
Because I read this transcript.
Setting up split horizontal.
Oh, come on. Okay, you found it?
Set it up split.
Posters for paid subscribers.
Pero tampoco es como que. Ah, sí sirve, güey. Ah. XD.
I actually am a paid subscriber. I'm just not logged in. Oh, so that must be what it is. Okay. I'm a paid subscriber, but I'm not a paid subscriber on anything I'm going to log in on, unfortunately. So we'll have to figure out. YouTube, good transcript. Because we're going to talk about this for.
Y seguro no me escuchan porque está hablando este vato y no entienden ni este vato ni a mí.
There's a way to open this in a new window. Okay, we got a paste bin here. Okay, someone managed to copy this, and that's completely unreadable. Okay. New criterion. Oh, he put this in new criterion. Oh, I love new criterion. Okay. Maybe this is where I saw it too. Does he end with his okay, yeah. Good. Oh yeah, this is it. Cool. This is where I read it actually. New criterion. I have a few Palladium, long form, new criterion, and that's the it's important to stay up to date on stuff. I've been working really hard on TinyGrad lately, so we see. So you ever read The Diversity Myth? It's Peter Thiel's OG book, and it's kind of interesting. I mean, the year here is very notable. It's 1995. Again, we've talked about, whenever we talk about wokeness on this channel, we talk about, again, don't take this to hate trans people or minorities or anything like that. Take this to hate universities, and really how the university system has failed us in a very fundamental way, right? And this is not a political point. The only political point that I'm making on this stream is that acceleration is good, right? I think maybe you've seen my arguments about this before. Acceleration is the only thing that lifted humanity out of poverty on the whole. You have to basically make the pie of the economy bigger. I saw some people respond to one of my Twitter things yesterday about like, what did I post yesterday? They respond with like, it's important how the wealth is distributed. It's really not important how the wealth is distributed. And the more you focus on how the wealth is distributed, the less you focus on making sure there's more wealth in the world, right? The Gini coefficient of a country is much less important than the the GDP of the country, right? Right? We don't have any ultra advanced countries which have very high GDPs, but life is terrible for.
Si te tienes como a controlar, mis recursos y vamos a hacer qué pedo con los recursos y vamos a enfocar toda la energía en que los recursos sean bien administrados, es de que, güey, sí, pero no estás trayendo nuevos recursos, ¿no? Entonces, ¿de qué sirve que los administres bien si no tienes una iniciativa como para traer también, pues, ¿no? O sea, las dos tienen que pasar, pues, al mismo tiempo, ¿no? Lo administrativo y lo creativo, lo que sea, ¿no? Pero, güey.
Terrible for everybody who lives there. That's just not really how it works. Okay. So, Thiel talks about wokeness in a very intelligent way. Not in the sense of wokeness is bad, but in the sense of why is wokeness spreading? Right? Why did this ideology manage to spread? Why is Claudine Gay now the president of Harvard? Right? How did we go from Larry Summers to Claudine Gay? What actually happened? So I love this anecdote. A few years after the diversity myth came out, a Stanford physics professor, Bob Laughlin, got a Nobel Prize. And he began to suffer from the supreme delusion that now that he had a Nobel Prize in physics, he also had academic freedom. Now, there's a lot of controversial topics in science. You could have a lot of different heterodox views, but he managed to find something that was far more taboo than any of the normal ones. He hit on the idea that most of the scientists were doing no work at all. Thiel goes on to talk about, it's very easy to criticize the humanities department of universities, right? It's very easy to criticize gender studies, or even to go less politicized, you could talk about criticizing interpretive dance, right? Mesopotamian history, right? These completely, as the Unabomber would describe them, surrogate activities. But that's hitting them at the weak point, right? Thiel even goes as far as to say this is what the center-left bureaucrat wants. What if instead you say that the universities have made no progress in physics? And it sure seems true, right? We made all this progress in fundamental physics up until really the 1970s. Something happened in the 1970s where progress kind of stopped, right? So if you look at USA energy usage, you can this is the one that I usually, energy usage per capita. But we see if we get one going further back, because you really don't see the absolute startling here. So you see from 1950 to 1970, it doubled, and then it went flat, right? This is energy usage per capita. This was brought up on the last stream.
Player
productivity and compensation. we have energy here?
Sports function output. O sea, lo que no entiendo es
We don't have
para qué
energy
sirve
here,
el
but the
default
same
y
thing's
que
true in
tengo
energy
que
too.
exportar.
Something happened here, and the energy usage has been completely flat since. So something happened pretty much in the last 50 years that has prevented growth in energy usage, that has prevented progress in the sciences.
Okay, los
What
como
fundamental
objetos, ¿no?
science has been figured out in the
Es una
last 50
mamadota
years?
aquí, pero
The answer is almost none. A lot of the bio stuff and health outcomes, right?
start task button is not defined. Empty cache and reload.
Even here, it tapers off later, but it still starts to taper off. Look, you can see the tapering off here in Mexico. You can see the tapering off in the UK. So Laughlin's team started with an inquiry into the bio department, launching an inquiry into what exactly it was doing. The generous conclusion would be that the department wasn't fully fraudulent, just an incredibly incrementalist exercise in groupthink that wasn't really moving the dial forward. This line of thinking was completely taboo. I don't need to tell you how the story ends. In the lecture, he actually goes into it, and well, his students couldn't get PhDs anymore. He lost tenure, so on and so forth.
Start task button is not.
I like this as well. He talks about how, which do you think is worse run, the DMV or the NSA, right? We all know how badly the DMV is run, but why do we think that the NSA has a secret bastion of competence? And I love this because I use this for startups as well, right? Secrecy with very, with the only notable exception of Apple, is inversely proportional to coolness. If a startup is secretive about something, it is almost always because it is not good instead of because it is good. We joke about the secret good version of OpenPilot, but of course there is no secret good version of OpenPilot.
Tiene sentido, o sea, usualmente cuando tienes algo chido que mostrar, lo quieres mostrar, no es como, güey, vean esta madre que hicimos, ya la hicimos, güey, aquí está, ya está hecho. Y ser secreto es como, güey, ¿sabes? O sea, lo tenemos, pero no se los vamos a mostrar porque es como, güey, ¿qué? Vamos a ver.
If we had that, we would have released it to you. So, he talks about something else that I hadn't really heard before, but it's this microeconomic problem where he talks about how goods like housing, right? If you decrease the supply of housing 1%, the average price goes up 2%, right? If artificially restricting the supply increases the total market cap of the good, this is a hard problem to solve. This is true for oil too. This is why you have things like OPEC, right? Again, if you were to increase oil production or housing production, the pricing of existing oil or housing would fall. Now that's obviously true, but what's not obviously true for these goods is that not just the price of the existing stuff would fall, the entire market cap of the sector would fall. Let's see if he talks about it here, but I loved that as like, wait, that's a real problem, right? That's a real problem with what you consider a free market. If you like free market economics, how do you solve the problem of basically artificially decreasing supply of something increases the total market cap of the thing, right? Actually makes the pie bigger. The pie is bigger by artificially reducing supply. And this has been brought up for cigarettes, for oil, and for housing. So that's a big problem that it's not clear how you solve with free market economics. But this is the cutting edge, right? So look, it's a just chatting stream. We're talking about politics, but I watched another video of Teal's where he talks about this guy who's like, more fossil fuels, good. Yeah, I didn't think the pro-fossil fuels guy was making such great arguments, but I did like that the whole thing was post-alarmist. And this is where we need to get to. We need to start talking very sensibly about how to fix these problems. Right? We need to move past a world of every culture war issue, regardless of what your feelings are on gay marriage, on abortion, on whatever culture bullshit. Like it's all a distraction from basic economics. It's all a distraction from the fact that we are no longer experiencing growth, and how do we get that growth back? Yeah, energy usage is the let's find. I want the one going way back. Let's search for the Henry Adams curve. The Henry Adams curve is what we were promised. Yeah, so here it is going way back. All right, so you see an exponential growth, and then in the 1970s, it's cut off, right? So, Teal goes into like he talks a bit about Christianity too, which I find very interesting. Is it possible to be too Christian? He talks about wokeism as a offshoot of Christianity without forgiveness, where you keep original sin but you remove forgiveness, right? And then he talks about these he describes Bronze Age pervert as neo-pagan, where you don't even have the concept of original sin. Basically, the victims deserve it. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see this spectrum, right? Like Christianity has original sin and forgiveness. Over here, you have original sin and no forgiveness, and over here, you have no original sin. Yeah.
Sí.
He talks about the etymology of political correctness. Basically, political correctness comes from Moscow. Being politically correct meant that you were a good comrade. My goal here is to concretize all these concerns, not with the aim of providing answers, but simply of asking questions. And I think that they are very good questions. He also describes, and I listened to like 4 hours of PDTL content this morning. He also describes the 2010s as this like Groundhog Day. As this groundhog, and I really did not like the 2010s. I think that now we are on the verge of something new. I think that the 2010s were completely fake, largely because of 0% interest rates. So this one, so he again described it in a way that I thought was absolutely simple and beautiful. Fed interest rates. Why are all these charts so complicated? I want the Fed rate over time.
Con esta madre imprimimos el número, formateamos el string, imprimimos un número al final y que va a ser del time. Eso va a permitir que cada vez el archivo sea un archivo nuevo, pues, ¿no? Porque están pidiendo un parámetro nuevo, entonces como, güey, no podemos cachear ese parámetro nuevo cada vez, pues, ¿no? O sea, al menos ese valor. Falta aquí un t igual, así como para agregarle, igual con que le pongas, pues, ¿no? Pero no lo va a encontrar si no lo haces así. Entonces así ya lo puede encontrar el archivo con este parámetro y siempre va a cambiar, pues, ¿no? Ya no se va a cachear. Ya podemos estar actualizando la configuración sin que haya pedos.
Time. Here it is. Okay. Thanks, CNBC.
She's whiz. Y ahí.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't think that this
Eclipse is not declared.
that this decade was a very good time. I think that we had a lot of counter progress in technology, but he describes very clearly why this had to happen, and it's because deficits got large. So if you have a really large debt, you want the interest rate to be really low because your payments on servicing that debt are really low, right? Think about it. If you buy something on credit, you want your credit card to have 0% APR, right? If you have debt, you want low interest rates. If you do not have debt, you want high interest rates, right? So, I'm rooting for this number to go up. I think that the interest rate should be much higher than it is. By the way, again, if the interest rates go up, the price of housing will fall. The price of all goods will fall. So, but I just thought that is like the people, in charge had no choice because deficits were so large. All you could do was lower interest rates to make it so you can push the problem into the future. And we pushed a lot of problems into the future until now they're unsustainable. Again, I'll take a slight sideline into current politics. Again, it's just chatting stream. I'm sorry if this offends you, but it's interesting that the Jews have been. It's interesting to watch the even mainstream media now no longer print this uncritical diversity gibberish. It's interesting, right? It's actually really cool. So sorry you pissed the Jews off, and well, ask Kanye where his sneaker deal is, right? But again, this is not you have takes on absolutely every single side of this, right? The 4chan take on Israel-Palestine is, I want them all to die. It's just like you have takes on absolutely every side of this, and I don't mean that any of the takes are better or worse. I'm mostly indifferent to most of this stuff. I'm talking about what concretely affects my life, and one of the things that concretely does affect my life is the pushing of okay, so I'll talk about how it affects my life, right? So politics is really dumb. Following along with politics that does not affect your life is really dumb. The kind of person who reads the news, right? I met this woman who was living she was living in Japan. We met up in Tokyo, and she was reading the American news, and it was outraging her. And I'm like, you're in Tokyo. None of this shit matters, right? And she was upset about border or Trump or whatever. Like, bro, you're in Japan. This doesn't matter, right? So let's get to the actual issue that does affect me, which is progress. Progress does affect me. The other thing, was this a new criterion thing? If you haven't seen New Criterion, I like these guys.
What? New criterion.
One of the posts talked about basically how complex our society is. Our society is extremely complex, and it requires. See if we can find it. It requires highly skilled people in order to maintain the complexity in our society, right? Who's running our power plants? Who's running our water grids? Who are our air traffic controllers? And if we move away from a merit-based system, the nice things in society are going to start to fail. Now, this seems obviously true. Again, I'm not talking about. Only worry, do not ever get caught up with a political issue that doesn't affect you, right? Whether Trump or Biden wins the next presidential election, it doesn't affect me, right? The crisis at the southern border, it doesn't affect me, right? This doesn't affect my day-to-day life. You say that, oh, maybe it will in the future, and maybe it will in the future, right? But yeah, things don't affect you, you should avoid, but things do affect you, well, you gotta think about them, right? So let's see if we can find this. think it was this one. I'm pretty sure it was New Criterion. It's interesting that that Teal is here too. Henry Kissinger, I guess he just died, so people are interested. They also talked about the maybe it was this one. It was like Griggs versus Ohio Power. I didn't know about this. But this was Griggs versus Duke Power Co. Again, 1971. It's interesting that all these things happened at pretty much the same time. It was basically the power company wanted to give basically an IQ test to prospective employees. And they ruled that in 1971 that using IQ tests was illegal in employment because you couldn't show that someone's IQ directly impacted their performance on the job. Again, you know, so there's your correlation between SAT and IQ. So I mean, colleges basically do use an IQ test to determine who gets in, but there's movement away from that, right? There's movement away from using SATs on college applications, right? Now, why anyone would want to go to a school that doesn't use any objective criteria? I mean, at that point, what are people being picked on, right? Okay, I think we got a little bit into the weeds there, but we'll come back to how this relates to accelerationism. So one of the greatest questions, and I've tried to find the exact quote, I think it was a Zero H.P. Lovecraft quote. There's two types of capital that he defines. He talks about human capital and techno capital. Human capital, is it increasing or decreasing? You can look at this in two ways, right? You can kind of look at the human capital per capita, right? Is the average human today better than the average human 100 years ago, right? And it's not clear what the answer is to that. But if the answer is that the average human is worse, then this goes into basically if you build a system, right? It is true that the people who build the system generally are smarter than the people who do end up maintaining it. But if the people who end up maintaining it aren't smart enough to do that, then we start to get widespread collapse. I've been watching a whole bunch of, I think it's practical engineering on YouTube. This is civil engineering. It's really cool stuff. And talking about how if we see collapse, if we start to see collapse in something like the electrical grid, like what they're seeing in South Africa, tons of other systems start to collapse also. So you know, it's just really important that human capital, you know, is kept up to the point that it can maintain these systems until we do eventually hand them over to machines. If we do that, but if Harvard is no longer using the SAT for admissions, where are these people going to come from, right? Do we have a pipeline anymore to get talented people?
Function,
right?
suggest, clips, assistance.
By the way, and I'll say this, and I'll emphasize this. You know, I think racism is extremely stupid.
O sea, es que no hacen nada en particular, ¿no?
Using someone's race, no matter how you use it, to determine anything pretty much is just dumb. Because you're not going to get the best person for the job, right? You're going to have this confounding variable, which again, I think all humans are pretty much the same. Not all individuals are the same, right? But maybe there's some differences in generation groups, but who cares, right? Let's just focus on the individual. All right, so classic liberalism going to fail, blah, 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 blah. Okay, can we accelerate our way out of this? We are here, human capital declining.
Ok, va por ahí lo de
We have two
acceleration.
choices. We either fix human capital, or we beat it with a lot of technical capital. There's more variation within races than between, of course. You can read all these things, it's again like it's a lot of conspiracy theories. When you make something taboo, the things, or when you ban something, right? When you try to censor something, people generally assume that the truth is much worse than it actually is. When if you just told people the truth, it'd be like, oh, okay. And we don't need to talk about the truth. It's an upsetting truth, but it is a truth, and you can look at it, and then you realize, well, hang on, we can still build a very functional society. Why is it so hard to tell the truth? Well, so the teal thing kind of goes into this.
¿Por qué es tan difícil decir la
Why it's so
verdad?
hard to tell the truth? Well, assume that people are purely motivated by economics. And he poses an interesting, again, assume that it's all, and he talks about real estate kind of being the core thing, right? Assume that everything is basically motivated to make real estate prices go up, right? Like stop thinking of wokeness as causative and start thinking of what caused wokeness. And he has a funny,
Entiendo si...
a thought experiment might flush out this crazy theory.
es que lo embedea,
If you were
¿no?
sitting here in Manhattan back in 2007 or in San Francisco and you told me the average rent would double in the next 16 years, I would say that's completely impossible. People would just move. They'd...
O sea, estaba teniendo un pedo porque me estaba dando el mismo error, por más que actualizar el build y cambiar el caché, me seguía dando el mismo error de que su clips no estaba definido, y ya estaba viendo yo el archivo acá que está definido y exportado y todo, ¿no? Assistant, acá se exporta, entonces como que no entendía, pero ya vi que tiene que ver con... Eso se me flipa. Con que, tengo que restartear el server de Go, porque si se fijan acá en mi main.go, digo, no estoy seguro, ¿no? Pero creo que tiene algo que ver acá, con que cuando inicias el server, se crea el file system, y el file system crea un embed, algo así. Entonces eso me suena que es como una variable que trae ya los archivos ahí como guardados para... que pues ya es la última versión, o sea, por más que le actualices o algo el del archivo, si no actualizas el server no va a volver a jalar esos archivos, ¿no? Y esto de Go Embed parece que tiene algo que ver, ¿no? Pero sí, pues no, ahí así restarteo el server o cualquier cosa que actualice en el server ya va a estar mandándome el nuevo caché, ¿no? O sea, mandándome el nuevo archivo. Provides access to files embedded in the running Go program. Guachas, o sea, los embedea para tenerlos cerca, pues, ¿no? Es de que mientras está corriendo el programa no tienes que ir al file system y buscar el archivo, sino que ya los tienes cerca en memoria, entonces es como, ocupas esta madre, pum, pum, algo así, pues, ¿no? Y está chido eso. Digo, debe tener su límite de qué tanto o algo acá, pues ha de crecer la memoria del programa y todo, ¿no? Cuánto necesites, pero pues al final de cuentas es lo que necesitas tener cerca para que darle la mejor experiencia al usuario, ¿no? Entonces, for example, here are 3 ways to embed a file named hello and then print these contents at runtime. Pues go embed hello bar s O sea, sí, directo. O sea, cuando dices go embed, la siguiente variable es la que va a contener el embed. Y en este caso, pues siempre estamos usando strings. No, es un embed fs. Pues ya es un tipo de dato, ¿no? Especializado para eso. Lo puedes meter como byte o lo puedes meter como archivo, pues, ¿no? Y ya lees el archivo. Porque pues nosotros no necesariamente nomás lo queremos imprimir o leer de esta manera, sino que lo vamos a procesar y lo vamos a mandar. En especial los de los templates, pues, ¿no? Que se procesan. Pero los JavaScripts y eso, pues sí los mandamos directo, ¿no? Órale, está cool.
They'd figure out some other place to go. But maybe you countered, well, let's say rent's going to double anyway. And then you asked, how would that be possible? It would be inexplicable without recourse to some kind of ideological superstructure, inflicting some version of Stockholm Syndrome. If you're a gay person, you might be told that if you ever move from Manhattan to Hoboken, you'll be beat up by bat-wielding thugs right away. If you're a woman living in a rat-infested apartment in San Francisco, where the rent is going up and up while you fantasize about a nice suburban house in Reno, Nevada, you might hear that, well, if you ever dare move to Reno, you're going to be chained to a bed and forced to carry a baby to term, right? The only logical explanation is that a crazed ideological intensification has distracted us from what's really going on. I'll say this too, right? So I do very often ask the question, how much am I affected by my own biases, right? Do I like that explanation because I hate San Francisco, right? Or is it because it's a good and true explanation? I don't know, it's really hard to tell.
Pero tengo, con razón está lento.
I don't know, that's why I really like falling back on the things that are data.
¿No?
Things like,
Un ambiente
now we have a
3D acá
declining
corriendo,
life
órale.
expectancy in the United States.
Esto está bien trabado.
And this one. This is the truly unforgivable sin of the.
Oh wow. Feliz Navidad.
I was in China.
Feliz
Around
Navidad.
that time, very. What an amazing time.
Ricardo.
What an amazing time to be there.
Sí, ¿no? Ricardo.
It gets sadder. Oh yeah, it gets sadder if you go to
Sí,
yeah,
no estoy nada pendiente de esta madre, ¿no?
Yeah.
No me dice ni de hace cuánto.
The European countries are even sadder. We're bearish on civilization today. Okay, so that's a good segue into the next.
Muchas gracias.
The next reading.
Ricardo.
But yeah, listen to that Teal lecture. It's really good.
Estoy desarrollando un editor de video, pero ahorita estoy migrando simplemente unos HTMLs y unos JavaScripts haciendo el módulo de ISM en lugar de tener todos los archivos regados nomás, porque fuck React. No, pero sí. Entonces, Showerly ya lo estoy acá. Voy a Showerly de acá. El video. Pero aquí. Solo igual tengo que esperar, ¿no?
So, we did our attack on wokeism, on mainstreamism, come on, does anybody seriously think Harvard? Does anybody seriously think Harvard's good, right? Nobody thinks that anymore, right? Like they talking about the collapse of the university, it's passe. It doesn't even have to end with tanks on the Harvard campus. It just ends with, just the loss of status.
Pues sí está accesible acá.
In Harvard,
sí estoy mezclando ahí de que varias tecnologías, justo lo que estoy haciendo es, tengo un server de Flask, que es acá mi ram.py.harvest, pues no es un server de Flask, acá lo tengo el create app, ¿dónde está este create app acá? En mi init, es un server de Flask que, pues no sé, es servers estáticos y tiene todas estas rutas, estas mis rutas principales, home, y todo esto del editor, ¿no? Así de que está. Es esta, ¿no? Assets. ¿Por qué se llama assets? Pues Harvest Blueprint, ¿no? Register Blueprint Assets. Si le pongo lo de assets. Qué loco. Pero, este es mi editor Blueprint, ¿no? Y acá pues es donde tengo toda la lógica para esta aplicación. Pero esta está en Go. Esta es otra, o sea, lo tengo 2 veces. Mira, casi voy. Por mi app. Esta no es la misma app, un poquito colores distintos y bla bla, pero si voy es la misma y acá sí funciona y carga los videos y todo, ¿no? Solo que con Python se me hace un poquito lentito, o sea, como que el cambio de página y cosas así se siente como que esperas y luego haces algo, ¿no? O sea, mira, luego clic, espero, pasa. O sea, todavía puedo decir espero en lo que pasa, ¿no? Y se supone, bueno, de repente igual cómo ande tu compu y todo esto, pero esta es la de Go. Sí se siente un poquito más fluida, pues, ¿no? Igual puedo decir espero, ¿no? O sea, clic, espero y pasa, ¿no? Pero si es así un poquitito más rápido y eso se siente en cada acción, pues, ¿no? Sobre todo porque todo va a ser server-side rendered. Entonces estoy intentando sacarle la vuelta a React y a frameworks complejos de frontend para simplemente pues sí, usar JavaScript lo más posible, así sencillito con el HTML que me esté dando el servidor, ¿no? Que en este caso es un servidor de Go. Y estoy usando, ahí lo digo, vas a escuchar de React y cosas así, pero hay un nuevo un nuevo framework que se está acercando ahí medio que nadie lo quiere usar, pero pues si te gusta así como más el desarrollo backend y así, HTMX, o sea, es lo que estoy usando yo, pues, ¿no? Con HTMX no necesitas tanto de React y cosas así, ¿no? Ya depende de tu aplicación, pero es bien sencillo, pues, ¿no? Si te fijas acá, importa HTMX, ahí, no sé si se ve ahí, importa HTMX y luego tienes un botón que cuando le picas hace un request y cuando regresa el request se cambia este botón por lo que sea que te mande el server, ¿no? Que sería el HTML de la página o del el div o lo que sea, ¿no? Y acá puedes ver, creo, el ejemplo. Algunos ejemplos, ¿no? Acá, mira, click to edit que es solo este código, y ya le das aquí y yo Rambo submit y ya se guardó, pues, ¿no? Todo esto queda ahí y es solo este código, pues, ¿no? O sea, está chido, ¿no? Nomás ahí recomendado. Para que le des su chequeada, su shineada.
Isn't the energy graph just tracking the move of basic production to China? I don't know what that has to do with it. You can say that, yeah, okay, maybe, I don't know how they measure that. I don't know how, if they include the energy that was used to produce a good that's been imported to America. Well, you say their research facility is nearly the best in every field, but please tell me more about where we've made progress in the last 50 years. All right. There's been limited progress in biology. It's still nothing compared to what there could be, right? You know, here's something that just blows my mind when I think about it, right? Everyone knows that we went to the moon in 1969. Everyone knows that, right? They're like, oh, maybe this was just some completely unsustainable, you know, this 747 came out in 1969. This plane today is over 50 years old. And you'd be so lucky to get on a 747. Most of the time you're on some shit tier 737, right? We don't even make planes this good anymore. This is a 54-year-old plane. How sad, right? Let's go 54 years before, 1969, right? Let's look at what year was the Wright brothers? Right? In a productive 54 years, we went from this to that, right? And then in another 54 years, okay, I mean we do have 787 today, right? I like 787s. They're okay, but they wouldn't be something that is unrecognizable to someone in 1969, right? It's not that different. Okay, the engine got a little bit bigger. You can see they clearly did some cost reduction where they got rid of some of the engines. They made the plane a little smaller. They made the wings look fancier. Great, but like just when you go from that to that, wild. A380s are pretty nice. Okay. We can look at the A380. The A380 is what, 30 years old now? How old are A380s? A380s might actually be newer than that. How new are A380s? Oh, no, they're newer than that. Okay. A380s are 16 years old. I mean, again, it looks pretty similar. A380s are very nice planes. But yeah, the new stuff's boring and unstuck, right? And it probably is related to this general sort of decline. He went into another thing. I listened to Thiel and David Graeber, the bullshit jobs guy, talk, and just how. I mean, I think about me, right? Where do I end up? And see, I have slightly better executive functioning than a lot of people who sort of look like me, right? I am capable of starting companies and raising money, but. I'm pretty weird, and I read about these like mathematicians, right? And this is the lifestyle that I wanted. The life that I wanted was to go around from place to place and like work on problems. I never wanted to participate in business. You have to today, right? Because that other system is completely destroyed. At least fundamentally, business is tied to what people will buy. And there is some inherent democracy there, right? People kind of know what's good. Okay, so we've done our criticism of Woke and classic accelerationist theory.
Sigbar is not defined. What the fuck?
Also, Argentina has a new guy. We'll see how things work for him. I like the El Salvador guy. The El Salvador guy tweeted. It's interesting. It's interesting what's happening in South America. Maybe now that I don't know. I always think of them as a bastion of the stupidest kind of like communism, socialism, Venezuela, Argentina, right? The Argentinian currency, right? I remember like, it went down again. Your average shitcoin outperformed the Argentinian peso. Oh, by the way, we thought about buying Bird. Remember Bird scooters? The market cap of Bird scooters is now $1.3 million. So, I thought about dropping $700K and buying a controlling share in Bird. I mean, it didn't do as bad as Argentina's currency. Is Brazil that bad too? Not as bad as Argentina. No, that's like a normal. Like, okay, like it went down a bit, but like, come on. This is hyperinflation land, right? China canceled currency swap with Argentina because the new president said he hates communists. Oh man. Well, you know, you gotta separate. Come on, you gotta separate Argentinian communism from Chinese communism, right? Chinese communism builds high-speed trains. I remember riding on some buses in Argentina over things that could barely be called roads. You don't get the art, yeah. So you can also talk about potentially that the decline in STEM has happened because all the easy problems have been solved. Yeah, I've heard this argument too. Maybe, but like, does that explain the energy usage thing? No. Teal also had an interesting take on the nuclear. Why nuclear stopped, and it wasn't Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island. It was actually India getting the bomb after we gave them civilian nuclear reactors that they made into bombs, right? It's an interesting take. Okay, so we did our hating on wokeism, and now let's hate on accelerationism, right? We gotta hate on everybody equally, right? Isn't that what the news is? The news is when you get two people from both sides and just let them talk, right? Because that's what news is. A techno-pessimist manifesto. Are you a techno-optimist? This is a serious condition, as common as prediabetes. Don't laugh. You can treat your prediabetes and your techno-optimism too.
Yo tengo techno-optimism, güey. ¿Ustedes no?
Corn syrup. Techno-optimism. As Americans, and we're all Americans now, location, even birth location is just a detail. We're all techno-optimists. The American idea is the idea of techne, man-made order, creating a city on the hill in a new wild continent. You know, it's funny, like, you can read Mark Andreessen's tech optimism manifesto. And I read it and it doesn't resonate with me. That's what he's responding to. I think maybe that even links here. Yeah. You can read this, right? And, like, this seems very much like a rehash of, right? You know, I'll say the same thing I said on, like, latent space. I like Mark Andreessen, but I do think that some of his ideas are, the first word that comes to mind is juvenile. And I don't really mean that as it's idealistic, let's say. That's a more positive way to put it. So you know, it reminds me very similarly of the Futurist Manifesto, right? We have stayed up all night, my friends and I, under hanging mosque lamps with dome of filigreed brass. Domes starred like our spirits, shining them with the prisoned radiance of electric hearts. For hours we had trampled our atavistic ennui into rich oriental rugs, arguing up to the last confines of logic and blackening many realms of paper with our frenzied scribbling, right? Just imagine like a bunch of guys sitting in like an Italian cafe drinking espressos, being like, yeah, man, yeah, you know, you heard of cosmism, man? You should see what the Russians are doing. They're gonna bring everybody back from the dead, man. Like, you know, we intend to sing the love of danger, the habit of energy and fearlessness. Courage, audacity, and revolt will be essential elements of our poetry. Up until now, literature has exalted a pensive immobility, ecstasy, and sleep. We tend to exalt aggressive action, a feverish insomnia, the racer's stride, the mortal leap, the punch, and the slap. Right? So this is I think it's 1912. 1909. 1909, the founding and manifesto of futurism. Right? Let's just contrast this with Italy energy usage per capita.
Pues algo está jalando, ¿no?
So, yeah, what happened?
Estamos avanzando, progreso. progreso, es lo que se le llama.
So I see a lot of similarities here. I think this might even call out the Futurist Manifesto specifically. No, it doesn't.
¿Ven esto?
Yeah, I think that this philosophy in a lot of ways hasn't been updated for the current time. And look, you can actually say, I've heard this as a like I don't consider myself on the right, but I certainly don't consider myself on the left. And you know, leftists don't attack each other, and I don't mean this as an attack. I don't, for the most part, if these sort of people were in charge of everything, I would be much happier than the current group of people who are in charge of everything. But I do think there are some fundamental issues with it, and I think Curtis addresses some of them pretty well. So how did this technological optimism work out for Americans? How did that work out? Well, it worked quite well at first, but as of late, opinions vary. Do you have an opinion? Do you doubt your opinion? Either you're a pessimist, and you want to see the instant confirm, or you're an optimist, but want to be a scientific optimist, one whose belief is confirmed by doubt. If you want to doubt techno-optimism, here's a cure. I call my therapy the Johannesburg Protocol. It costs about $5,000. The protocol is fly to Johannesburg. Spend a week walking around the city. Stay safe. Make sure your hotel has a generator. See Johannesburg, capital of the Rainbow Nation. See the future. And when you get back, assuming you get back, take a day to think about how AI will fix South Africa, or VR will fix South Africa, or crypto, or whatever.
Take a moment just to think about it.
So I found this interesting. South Africa ranks as one of the highest for screen time. Philippines, Brazil, Colombia, South Africa, Argentina. Interesting.
It's not
What
defined.
this means. Their vision loss. I've seen South Africa at the top of these lists too. In terms of computer usage, South Africa is the top. Yeah, South Africa, Brazil, Philippines, highest average screen time, which is interesting. So yes, take a day to think about how AI will fix South Africa, or VR will fix South Africa, or crypto, or whatever. I just love these zingers from Curtis, right? Because like you sit here and think about it, and you imagine your like average like tech bro douchebag being like, well, AI is gonna right? Like, no, like bro,
Files
that's
to
not the problem,
exclude.
right?
Por favor, dejarles. No quiero ahorita.
What you will see in Johannesburg is abundant physical evidence of a world that was functional 50 years ago, even 100 years ago, but now is halfway to Mad Max. I've never been to South Africa. I'm assuming Curtis has. Even if he hasn't, this backs up what I've seen in a number of YouTube videos on the topic.
Esto es lo que termina siendo.
So yeah, I mean, you can read Hopium. Hopium's a good way to describe it. I love this quote. Actually, America is not full. We can fit another 46 trillion humans in there if we grind them into a fine powder and store them in giant grain silos that will occupy every inch of this country. I love the imagery, right?
No está guardado.
You never get this, like,
¿Por qué no
there is like a certain sort of absolute and complete fakeness I get from so many of these accelerationist people. Like this isn't a...
El player tiene una madre que se llama
The
initialize.
Wokies are gonna beat you, right? Like, the Wokies deserve to beat you, right? Like, they're... you know what I was watching? I think I brought this guy up on stream before, Lil Mabu, man.
Okay.
This video is fire.
Okay, kids. I promise I won't let you down.
White boy lazy about to make us catch another case. You don't wanna be in no jail. Follow my 4-5, yeah, I'm new to this place. Yeah, baby, welcome to the hood.
Baby, welcome to the hood. If you with us, you good, right?
Add clips to leads.
So we'll go on in the Curtis thing, and he talks about this thing called Thymus, right? And I want everybody to just think about this video, which, not ironically, I think is actually legitimately great.
Video panel.
And it just got me thinking when I was listening to this today about the barbarians who were coming for American culture, right? Or who were coming for civilization and death, right? Where are the Germanic hordes, right? Where are the Visigoths, who's coming? And like, welcome to the hood. If you're with us, you're good, right? But this is actually not to hate, right? What's so funny is like, I grew up in the hood, man. I don't know that much about the hood. Mostly what I know from like videos like this and Adam's, right? But there certainly is one interesting thing that you know about whenever you go through an area like this is people are outside, right? And they're not necessarily outside because they got nowhere else to go. They're outside because we're outside, man. We are a society.
Circular dependencia y empezó a valer chorizo todo, güey. Ya.
We are doomed. Outside on the street, right? So
o sea, que tengo que hacer sacar a otro paquete eso. O sea, otra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andreessen, no unsubtle thinker, is not a pure Pollyanna optimist. He too sees two curves. His falling curve is the curve of human spirit, thymos, whose loss gives us Nietzsche's Last Man and C.S. Lewis's Men Without Chests. Right? You could say a lot of things about people in the hood, but they have thymos, right? They have a society and a culture that, you wouldn't describe them as the Nietzschean Last Man or a man without a chest. Right? That's what I'd describe your average diversity bureaucrat as a university as, right? The last man is the human being, specifically the human elite at the end of a civilization. The role of thymos is to maintain order. Pride in maintaining order is...
Es que estaba buscando esta palabra. His falling curve is the curve of human spirit, thymos or thamos, whose loss gives us Nietzsche Last Man and Lewis Men Without Chests. Thymos. Es como todo el espíritu y cosas que los hombres blancos están perdiendo, algo acá, como ganas de vivir o para qué progresar. Y es como, güey, ya basta. Sí, ya basta de tanto progreso. Ya es como, ya tenemos todo lo que queremos. Ustedes, ¿no? Así de Thomos is the ancient Greek concept of spiritedness. Órale. Thymos, concept of spiritedness as in spirited stallion o spirited debate. Es como del espíritu Thymos. Voy a dejarlo por ahí. Pero pues sí, todavía hay cosas por las que luchar, por las que progresar, ¿no? O sea, ¿por qué no hacerlo? What the fuck?
An element of a functioning elite. When the elite loses this pride, or even develops its opposite, Luciferian pride at destroying order, trouble is on the horizon. I love all the. You guys know I'm Christian. I love all the return to Christianity stuff lately, right? There's just some things that were so much better understood, I feel, by societies in the past. By societies who actually went outside and didn't interact with the world, mediated through a cell phone that is created and curated by, a small group of companies, right? Again, it brings us back to Lil Mabu's, is this the hood? Are these guys gangsters? Nobody knows, man. I don't know, people probably know. I've never heard of 5-Yo Farm before. But no, this video is actually fire, check it out. Indeed, if present trends continue, voluntary human extinction seems likely to become a live political issue within our children's lifetimes. You laugh. So, let's, Curtis comes to one of my sacred cows here, one of the things that I believe, one of the things that I repeat, and I've been rethinking it. I went for a walk today. I had 2 people recognize me.
Video preview is not defined. And video duration.
For what I was doing.
Initialize server render clips.
That guy had actually like met through a friend, so it wasn't weird. But like random strangers, by the way, if any of you watching this are like random strangers, like don't come up to me, man. Like don't come up to me, man. You know, okay, look, if you're like cool and you can be cool about it, then it's fine. But like socially awkward people come up to me, man. Like what's just like I feel awkward, right? No, the guy today, I met through a friend. It was cool, and it was a very, very positive interaction. And like this always makes me think of, could accelerationism be a mass movement?
Tengo que repensar cómo.
Yes.
What the fuck?
When we Curtis talks about the Thymos crisis, right? The crisis of kind of, maybe everyone feels it, right? It's the crisis of kind of.
Pides el video panel y luego vuelves a pedir el video player. O sea, eso se quiebra, pero vamos a hacerlo, o sea, se quiebra, se saca, se exporta uno y ya los dos dependen de esa madre, no hay pedo. Pero por ahorita vamos a.
Whereas like you just don't have
más
this,
errores.
and, you know, when you're too busy figuring out if we gotta,
Como que el tailwind no carga chido, algo del tailwind.
shoot up that guy's house tonight, you're not so worried about existential bullshit, right? You know, the way we're doing the drive-by tonight, boys, like, you're not so worried about existential bullshit.
Add clip overlay.
So, here, William James, who thought that the 1910s was decadent degeneracy. Maybe it was, right? And maybe World War III is coming.
Sigbar, este es Sigbar y aquí ya hay state, bien.
If now, and this is my idea, there were instead of a military conscription, a conscription of the whole youthful population to form for a certain number of years a part of the army enlisted against nature, the injustice would tend to be evened out, and numerous other goods to the Commonwealth would follow. The military ideas of hardihood and discipline would be wrought into the growing fiber of the people. No one would remain blind as the luxurious classes now are blind to man's real relations to the globe he lives on, and to the permanently sour and hard foundations of his higher life. To coal mines and iron mines, to freight trains, to fishing fleets in December, to dishwashing, clothes washing, and window washing, to road building and tunnel making, to foundries and stokeholes, and to the frames of skyscrapers, would our gilded youths be drafted off, according to their choice, to get the childishness knocked out of them, and to come back into society with healthier sympathies and soberer ideas. They would have paid their blood tax, done their own part in the immemorial human warfare against nature. They would tread the earth more proudly. The women would value them more highly. They would be better fathers and teachers of the following generation. I totally believe in this. I think this is actually awesome, right? Apparently, Mao had the same idea. He had the sent down youth, but this is based as hell, man. Like this is. So one of the problems that I run into when I think about this YouTube channel, when I think about the George Hotz quote-unquote brand, everyone has a brand, even if you acknowledge it or not, how toxic biopsychiatry is real. Look, I'm a lot of people who would take direction. A lot of y'all ask me for direction in your life. A lot of you say, what should I do, George? I'm studying this, blah, 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 blah. Right? No, but really. So you have the ability to lead a movement, right? And one of the problems that I've always run into is I do not know how to make the people genuinely useful to my movement. I do not know how to make most of you watching this video right now useful to my movement. And this is a problem. Curtis talks about it. While pushing forward the frontiers of human power over nature is indeed exhilarating, this experience is by nature itself limited to a few. And this is what I've experienced. This is my greatest joy in life. Right? The conquest of nature, the overcoming. right? You know, and you can look at that with stuff like the iPhone, but that's, you know, that's baby stuff, right? It's a good thing to train on, but again, the iPhone fundamentally is made by humans, right? But when you look at like the self-driving car problem, or asking questions about what deep learning, what machine learning, what machine intelligence really are, and then building machines that can do those things, right? These are pushing the frontiers of human power over nature. And this is what Andreessen talks about. Andreessen restores thymus humans by the direct energy of participating in research and development, and by the indirect energy of supporting technology as a cause, like global warming or the Palestinians. Yeah. And as a democratic cause, a movement of the crowd, technological accelerationism is a terrible product. The problem is that it is a good cause, a pro-social, orderly cause. It has no victims or scapegoats. It does not inherently harm or damage anyone. In short, it's like asteroid defense, not like climate change. You will never ever see protesters gluing themselves to the road to get governments to spend more on asteroid defense. That is because the defending of the planet from asteroids is not a pretext for causing any kind of harm or damage. And I just absolutely love this. I love this take on all of these like Black Lives Matter. Okay, that's great. What are you gonna do? Well, we're gonna go lie down in the middle of a highway. Okay, I get it. I want to lie down in the middle of a highway too. Black Lives Matter. Let's go, right? Yeah. Look, I played with this for a bit. I actually went so far as to buy. I own land. Here. This is one of my websites. I think I promoted a lot like 2 years ago. I've pretty much given up on the idea for several reasons. It's really hard to do anything. Like it's.
We will abolish scarcity. There will be nothing for them to steal. They can have for free. ¿Cómo se llama? Ecromata. Ecromata is hiring a live-in property developer. Your goal is to develop and maintain 2 off-grid Airbnb units. Job. Off-grid Airbnb. Así de que you're expected to live full-time at the property and gradually improve the lifestyle it supports. Improving the lifestyle while decreasing the maintenance effort. The Airbnb price reviews are a great way to judge progress. Land has well water, sunlight, 5G coverage, 3 broken tractors, and a trailer to live in. Ideal for someone with a remote full-time job who is looking for an off-grid lifestyle. Must have high executive functioning and be capable of working independently. Güey, suena bien concha, o sea, de que güey, sale, o sea, te paga el vato porque te vayas así en medio de la nada con un Airbnb y puedas hacerlo funcionar básicamente, ¿no? Así de que mantener plomerías, mantener lo que sea que se necesite para hacer funcionar algo off the grid, y tienes que hacer funcionar 2 de esos para ganarte el salario, ¿no? A huevo, y ya tienes uno libre que puedes rentar y bla bla bla, ¿no? Pero pues está raro.
Really hard to do anything on land or on nature like that, and I'm not willing to devote like my time to it any more than a hobby. I'd put in a few hours a week, but a few hours a week would not make this succeed. Right? I do think that I'm better off. What do I actually spend my time on? I mean, now I've been spending like all my time just working on TinyPad. Right? You know. But I'd love to see someone do this. Right? The sent down youth. But you see, they have to be sent down. They have to be the elites. The problem is it can't be opt-in. So yeah, you have a lot of energy, right? A lot of you ask me, what should I do? And the truth is, like, I'm trying my best with TinyGrad and the bounties. But again, This experience is by nature itself limited to a few, unless that magic elixir that turned us all into Einsteins is invented. And even that, I argue, unless everyone is the equal level of Einstein, it wouldn't really work. Because, you know, yes, we get rapid progress, right? But, yeah. I wasn't really trying for Galt's Gulch. And you know what? To be fair, this is a very long-term project of mine. I'm not getting rid of the land. I own 123 acres. Absolutely beautiful. 30-minute drive from San Diego. But what I realized I need is robotic labor. I'm not going to be able to succeed at this project until we have robots that can do shit. So you know, we make bodies, and someday I will put them to use on my land. Some days, bodies, you're going to work and you're going to love it, right? That's right. That's right. You can follow Billy AGI on Twitter. Billy is a comma body. It's a Twitter account. Yeah, you just look at like the money you could make off of this. You can like board horses, and again, this is like good money to like pay like a few people's salaries, maybe. You can grow grapes, but really what you want to do is, it doesn't matter about the grapes you grow, it matters about the weddings you host at your winery, right? So that's the kind of person who I really want to do this. And if anyone ever does reach out, right, and you're like, you know, I get emails from people who want to be my live-in property developer, and I'm like, bro, like, have you ever lived off grid? The answer to that is always no. I'm like, have you ever like spent a week in the woods? And the answer to that is no. And I'm like, oh God. Like even I've spent a week in the woods, right?
Yo no he hecho eso, me falta.
Seriously, how many of you
es el
have
año de
ever
esas
well
shits.
engaged chat? How many of you have spent a week in the woods? How many of you have spent a genuine, I guess the longest I've done was 5 days.
No, yo quiero 7
go.
días.
5 days backpack, right? I'm not talking you drove your tent to some campground. Like, you know, you can, 5 days, 4 nights is the longest I've done. 4 days, yeah. It's kind of the limit, right? Like it becomes hard to carry all your food. Like you can do it, but then you're really in some most of my backpacking trips are 3 days, 2 nights. You know, if you want to bring stuff that's going to ensure you like a decent standard of living, then you gotta you do that. If you're willing to bring very, I don't know, like I love those meals. I don't know. I just remember like, I don't know, maybe it was just the people I did it with too. But you have 5 days off grid Appalachian Trail. All right, cool, good. See, that's real. Like I appreciate that. Oh, you did, yeah, bikepacking. The cool thing about bikepacking is it becomes really like it's really quick to get to places. I don't know, like I did like Iceland with bikepacking.
Eso está muy raro que todo lo saque de States,
Places,
¿no?
for,
Pero,
places for cool.
¿cuál es la forma de hacer cosas en HTMX? ¿Alguien sabe?
But they're scary at night, bro. I feel that. I'm not scared of wolves or really bears. I don't know. No, I mean, what scares me in the woods? Humans and mountain lions and rattlesnakes. Not even mountain lions. They're just like humans like stepping on rattlesnakes. I don't know bear encounters. I don't know. I mean, I guess I've never slept anywhere with brown bears. I'm scared of brown bears. But California black bears.
¿Por qué se ve así, güey? Al menos está jalando.
Strongest
At least
animal I
it's
can
working.
take down. I'm not really hunted. I'd like to do that sometime. If one of my subscribers is like cool and not weird, like they want to go hunting, I'd be down. I really want to go hunting. I did one backpacking trip once where we didn't bring any food, and we brought a book on edible wildlife. We found lots of edible wildlife, but you're eating like miner's lettuce and nasturtium, and you're like, shit, this don't have any calories in it. So yeah, we lasted one night, and the next day, I did fast for 2 days this year. Maybe I talked about it. We had a company. Wait, all right, I'm really going off with the weeds here. My point is, I like this. I like this as an idea. sent down youth 11.
No entiendo, güey. ¿Por qué no todo el Telugu jala igual?
Kanye's building a new city in the Middle East. Is this real?
En el Middle East. Announces plans to build St. Acre.
How's the Wyoming city going? I love Kanye, by the way. You know, I love Kanye, right? Just invading Israel, bro. Bro.
Algo otro, ¿no? Otra vez. Generic frame
You see,
previews
that's,
not
you
defined.
know, that's the thing. Like you can, like Kanye's got beef with the Jews got beef with Harvard, and Harvard's the real enemy here. So as long as Harvard loses, we all win. I'm like 3 steps away from moving to a shack in Montana. Someday, man. Someday. No, I wouldn't mail bombs to people. What would I do? No, I don't know. Live for a cause, don't die for a cause, right? What's the problem? You know, you can sympathize with the Unabomber, but he pretty much died for a cause. He didn't really live for a cause, right? Live for the cause. I mean, he did produce a great manifesto. We can all read it, and you know, everyone knows that we're mature adults here, and we can separate the art from the artist, right? Because we don't believe in identity politics. Kanye must be good. The media's too unhinged talking about him. The man is like, there's some Kanye clips that like, he's just so funny, man. I would like to see the rap be good again. Like I do not feel that his new albums have been good. Donda and Donda 2. They're no My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. They're no College Dropout. It was the Wyoming place. the doctor clip. I'm not gonna say what kind of dog. I'm not gonna say. There's a bunch of Kanye clips like that where you're just like, what the fuck she know about cameras? I haven't seen that one. It just reminds me of the Lil Wayne deposition clip where Mr. Dwayne Carter, did you hire a photographer on or about April 14th? No, I don't hire a photographer. Look, I'm a superstar. I got people to do that for me. Celebrity depositions are comedy gold. I got people to do that for me. Kanye 2020. No. Elon had a good take on Kanye's when Kanye actually like published his like Wakanda plan for governance. Yeah. This makes me want to watch Kanye clips, man. I do remember this badass bitch birthday party. She was crazy, stupid thick. No, we're not watching Kanye clips. You can do that in your own time. The ineffectiveness of technological acceleration as a cure for the chesslessness of the modern man is hardly the biggest problem with the techno-optimist solution. The problem is actually much worse. Technical acceleration is not the cure for the last man syndrome. No, technology is the obvious cause of the last man syndrome. Andreessen is curing cancer with tobacco. Look at James's list of dirty jobs: dishwashing, clothes washing, and window washing. Half of these jobs have vanished into the maw of the machine. And it is already clear that over the next few decades, the present assault of AI on white-collar bullshit jobs will soon be matched by a robotic assault on manual labor, precisely the tool that is most useful for turning lazy, willful boys into mature and effective adults. William James could never have dreamed of a world in which most humans are useless. This is one of the best videos on this topic, and it's crazy how old it is. I remember when this came out 9 years ago. If you haven't seen this video, I will link it in chat. Go watch this video. This video is great. Plumber robots are, yeah, I mean, yes, it's true that we'll get rid of the white collar jobs first, but we'll eventually get rid of the manual labor jobs. Base God, CGP Grey, truth. Oh, CGP Grey also has a great video on how dictatorships, democracies, and oligarchies work. So check that out. Yeah. To anyone trained in utilitarian economics, the idea that any kind of productivity increase could be harmful is deeply counterintuitive. In fact, there is a precedent for the negative impact of technological advances on societies, the negative impact of resource discoveries, the resource curse is well known. I actually don't agree with Curtis here. I think that this is actually very different because the resource curse exists because other nations then buy whatever that resource is. The resource curse cannot affect the entire world, right? It's not like the entire world can discover money trees and we can all become lazy. So I don't think that it's the same thing. I think that technological advance has the capacity to do this to the entire world, whereas any sort of traditional resource, unless it is total, right? And that is the difference between something like oil. Oil may be useful for many, many things, but it is not like AGI, it is not total. But this, what ends up happening, seems similar. The transition from the economic means of subsistence, producing stuff that other people need, to the political means, taking stuff that other people have. UBI is not
Ya
a
cuando lo
solution.
usas ya no existe, what the fuck.
I don't know what I can say
Tardan en
about this, but
salirse.
an article, I got an article coming out soon. You guys can read it. I talk about my thoughts on the solution to this problem. It's related to, if you haven't read Wireheaded City on my blog, it's in those things. This is incredibly ironic for a reason to present the acceleration of technology as the cure for 21st century words I do not know. Listlessness or torpor, or not caring or not being concerned with one's position or condition in the world. Yeah, definitely see that. Enemy, that sounds French. Breakdown of any moral values, standards, or guidance for individuals to follow. Yeah.
Qué pedo.
Which is actually the result of technological acceleration.
OBS, ARC.
Oh, I've never read this. Humanity is a population of spiritless, decadent socialites living underground inside the belly of a giant single machine. Then the machine breaks and the people just die. Based, man. Based. Wait, I want to read this. Is it long? Alright, well, I'll read it off screen. One can easily see Trotsky at Burning Man. He talks about how the Soviets were accelerationists. So y'all thought that this was going to be a shill stream for the wonders of accelerationism, but it's not.
Ow.
It's not. I like the idea of accelerationism right now, but I do not think it is a good long-term ideology. And I don't think that we have a good long-term ideology. Now, like, I mean, and this is kind of unfortunate for me, because I do personally get lots of joy out of this, pushing forward the frontiers of human power over nature. But this experience is by nature itself limited to just a few. And I can't share that with all of you. And here on this stream, I want to share with you guys. And I don't think I can share that. I don't even know, and this is probably just my inabilities as a manager, but most people even if I had like complete, if they all the willpower they could muster, they devoted it to me. I'm not sure what I could do with that, right? And I'm not some like David Koresh type who would who likes that. I actually don't like that. I find that kind of like it's awful. It's actually really like I don't like. If you see me in the street and you don't know me, don't talk to me, man. Unless you're cool and you can do it in like a cool, chill way. But most y'all aren't, right? Oh, George Hotz, I'm such a fan. Oh my god. See, I think there are people in the world who like that. I'm just like, so, what the fuck do you want me to say, man? You know, at least have the decency. I'm eating or feeding my daughter to not come and speak to me. So yeah, this stream leaves with more questions
Be
than
accessed
answers.
from Origin.
But you know, again, you guys say Curtis is saying the absolute most clear stuff between you know, Curtis and the more broad picture thing. Peter Thiel doing an incredibly good job describing the present, which is kind of criticism. Yeah, tracksuits and Nikes, right? Let's pick some rare ass Nikes. Let's Heaven's Gate was in San Diego, man. Let's do it. No, look, like it's not a cult because I'm not a cult leader, right? I've thought about being a cult leader, but there's very little that I can do. First off, there's very little I can do with like capital, like money capital. There's even less. I'm not very good at deploying money capital, and I'm even less good at deploying human capital. There are people who are good at these things, and God, like something I think about is like what does separate me from Elon? What does he have that I don't? And it seems to just be like a crazy sort of, I don't know, I'm working my way through the biography now. Like a crazy sort of, I don't know, it's like a risk tolerance. Like I don't know why I can't deploy capital. I mean, in a way. Okay, look, I'm obviously
capital está cabrón, ¿no? O sea, usar el dinero para algo valga la pena arriesgarse con ello.
My opinion of Sam Altman has gone significantly up after the OpenAI, after the coup attempt. I realized that Sam Altman's not an effective altruist, and the people who I really don't like at OpenAI, like Helen Toner, Sam Altman apparently also doesn't like. Again, you know, enemy your enemy and all that, right? So my opinion of Sam Altman has gone up. I also said on Twitter that I liked, if we look at OpenAI's new blog post, so by the way, I'm not, maybe some of you watched my debate with Yudkowsky. I do not think I was in good form in that debate. I rewatched clips of that today. I was like, oh, that's such a bad argument. Why did I say that, man? I'm not practiced in the art of debate. Then I rewatched parts of my Lex, and I was like, "Damn, I said some good shit in there." You know, that was good thinking. So you know, if you're gonna watch some George Hotz videos, watch the Lex, don't watch the Yudkowsky debate. But you know, I'm not an anti. I do believe that AI alignment is somewhat of a real thing. It's unclear how distinct AI alignment is from just AI capability. Right? Capability and alignment may totally be the same thing. I mean, you can talk about like the capability and the alignment of a person. If a person lacks capability, most often when I tell someone to do something, it is not an alignment issue, it's a capability issue.
A ver si ya con eso jala. Si voy a tener que hacer el install.
So, but it's interesting, you can read this.
Pero esto dónde iría? En el
Like,
bundle.
This is a very, I like the
JS,
tone here so much
aquí.
more.
Los modules, tal cual.
this is The Verge. I shouldn't do this. I did.
Source va a ser igual a...
Here. Due to concerns about large language models being used to generate deceptive, biased, or abusive language at scale. Right? Who cares about this shit, right? But if, we're talking about how can humans steer and trust AI systems much smarter than them, this is actually a very interesting question. And they're talking about weak to strong generalization, interpretability, scalable oversight, honesty, chain of thought faithfulness, adversarial robustness, evals and test beds, right? If this is what you mean by alignment research, this shit's great. Especially if you're doing this kind of research in public, right? Like adversarial robustness, right? Like you can make fun of a lot of like the adversarial research, but there are some deep questions here. If you're building evals and test beds and you're doing this publicly, this is great. Again, my opinion about but coming back to my point about what separates, why am I not an Elon Musk or a Sam Altman, right? I don't think these people are smarter than me. But they have an ability to deploy capital, and I sadly think it might be because they're willing to lie. A lot of what I've heard about Sam Altman, and maybe right away, is why I didn't get that he, actually was pretty opposed to the effective altruists, is he'll say yes to everybody, right? Even if he doesn't mean it. And Elon, in a way, did this to me, right? Like, if I proposed a contract with somebody, I would stick to it. I mean what I say. Now, I don't say a lot, right? Because I'm careful to mean what I say. But they seem unbothered by this. They seem unbothered by sort of leading people on. And I've come to like this single thing is the greatest difference, right? Like with comma, I scream, no partnerships, right? But imagine I did. Imagine I spun up a bullshit partnership division, right? That told every company we were going to work with them and then raise tons of money, right? Like, I think I talk about this. I have a blog post where I go into this a bit. But like, this is just sad. If, I call it a disgusting playbook, right? Right? Elon every year would promise level 5 self-driving, right? It wasn't true. Sam Altman's cruise revenues right around the corner, right? This is exactly focused on, maybe, Elon and Sam, as in what they have and I don't. And if that turns out to be the truth. Right now, to be fair, you can talk also about how much of that is my ego, right? How much of that is they actually have some real skill that I don't, right? And how much am I hating on this skill because I don't have this skill, right? You can say that it's an unwillingness, but is this sour grapes on my behalf? And the answer is like, maybe, I don't know. Like, I think about that a lot, and well, Cruz also lies, right? So lies do eventually catch up with you. It's interesting, right? It's interesting. So the lies did catch up with Cruz. I posted this blog post before the Cruz accident. A story I heard about Elon, like, after my sort of beef with him. This is one of the, like, apparently there was this guy who was working on the space internet, and Elon took, like, 5 meetings with him, right? Like, long meetings where they discussed all of this technical detail, basically on the premise that Elon was going to fund him. Elon did not fund him. Elon cut him out and made Starlink. Now, how do we judge that behavior? Right? Like, I judge that behavior as I can go buy a Starlink, right? And this kid was probably going to do nothing. Maybe, maybe not. But again, if Elon steals the idea and builds Starlink, or steals the idea, right? Like, it's kind of ridiculous, right? I don't believe that stealing the idea is really the problem. There's no such thing as stealing an idea. Intellectual property is stupid. But no, that he led this person on and basically got this person to, tell them everything was working on in multiple meetings.
Es el
Like,
worker y
people
luego ya
on
como
LinkedIn are like,
mecánico,
George,
pues
you're
es
asking for work for
independiente.
free with the bounties. And I'm like, I'm so disgusted by this. It's like, first off, it's not even free. But like, fundamentally, what I'm asking you to do is contribute to it like an open source project. You see what it is, right? And if you don't see what it is, that's on you, right? But then you could say the same thing about business, right? If I don't see what it is, that's on me, right?
Vayas.
Alright.
¿Ya cargo bien?
But yeah,
Hasta que carguen todos.
utilitarian ethics
Intenté
are
generar.
absolutely disgusting.
Ahí valió
The
chorizo.
problem with
Cannot find
utilitarianism
module.
is you are
Static.
willing to kill 3 people to save 10, right? And then eventually you just lose the to save 10 part and you just kill 3 people. Well, like hypothetically, they might have killed people in the future, right? The pipeline from utilitarian to murderer is very straightforward, right? This is the problem with utilitarian ethics. Don't let Sam almost scan your eyeballs. To be fair, like
Ajá, aquí
what
no.
these people also are very capable of doing
Bondol.
is building thymic energy. Elon and Sam, they build thymic energy, right? And this is a universally good skill, right? So as much as I can hate on the lying and the business,
No, se mamó así, un chico comentario raro.
Voy a hacer una pasta. ¿Quieres que te guarde el agua para las papas?
Sí.
¿Van pegadas o así?
Así las voy a hacer.
¿No van rebanadas sin pelar?
Yo las voy a rebanar.
Pero no van peladas, pues.
Ajá, no. Ni siquiera todas cocidas, ¿no? Ahorita ya las he hecho. Pero sí, pues dice que quizás luego que... Que ahorita yo las cuezo, pues, ¿no? Para que no se pasen.
Porque estoy viendo pues es una agua grande.
Bueno. Habla de cómo Elon y Sam y estos manes, o sea, tienen, no sé si tienen tiempo, el privilegio, lo que sea, ¿no? Pero lo que tienen ellos es que pueden construir su energía thymic, le llaman, ¿no? O sea, güey, se está tripeando con esto del thumos, ¿no? Y el thymus, que es como el alma, el spiritedness, ¿no? No es el alma tal cual, es que tenga spiritedness. Eso yo lo he escuchado del spirited man, pues, ¿no? Es como que seas alguien con, no sé, qué es eso, pues, ¿no? Como las ganas de hacer cosas y willpower y todo ese pedo.
business scumminess.
Hay que leer más.
They're clearly both way better at this than I am, right? I've been building a company now for 7 years at Comma, and Comma's like 25 people. It's a pretty good company. Works, makes money. Making open source software. Good. But, it's not... OpenAI started around the same time. Cruise started around the same time, right? Not Cruise. Cruise is stupid, but like, OpenAI started around the same time. Maybe you just need to partner with someone. Okay, so let's not use that word, right? So this is maybe this is a character flaw of mine. The word partner is actually pretty disgusting to me because let's just be clear about the hierarchical relationship here, right? Either they work for me or I work for them, right? There's 2 ways to quote unquote partner with somebody, right? They work for me or I work for them. Could I, the problem is also a lot of these people are just like liars without any sort of confidence to back it up, right? You talk about that Starling story, right? And let's think of the flip side of this, right? Let's think of an Elizabeth Holmes, right? Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos probably shut down numerous microfluidic blood testing startups, right? Just by kind of out-competing them in a fake bullshit market where they didn't get any funding, right? And that is unforgivable, right? That is the right? so had Elon like taken funding away from somebody for Starlink and then not build Starlink himself, well, that's or robbed someone of thymic energy, and then not built it himself, right? That would my judgment would be very different in that case. You know, he built it, you can buy it, and that pretty much absolves you of all sins, right? Like fundamentally, if you deliver, and then maybe that's what it is. Maybe it is just a completely irrational belief in yourself. You know, literally $120 a month, I can buy this. They're in Best Buy, right? Like how cool, man? How cool. Pretending to build Hyperloop to prevent rail projects. I don't think the Hyperloop is the reason there's no rail projects in America, man. And you know, again, I've been driven in a Tesla through Elon's tunnel. So again, as far as his infrastructure projects go, it's just not scams, right? Like you built an actual tunnel, and I've been in it, right? I've never been in a cruise car. I don't even know if I can sign up for a cruise car, but I've been in Elon's tunnel during CES, right? Pretty cool. Didn't Biden push the speed train bill? Yeah, where's my fucking train, right? Like you can do whatever you want, but where's the train, right? Fundamentally, have I been on this train? Do you know anyone who's been on this train? There's no train, right? What do I think of the tunnel? It's pretty cool. It's a pretty nice tunnel. I like it.
Bundle. Ajá, este es el que lo hace hacer. Este es el otro. Y este es el bundle, ¿ok?
I worked on a song a bit this morning. It's like a show tune style. But it wasn't that good. You know, it's Christmas, right? I didn't do any work today. I was like, today's a no work day. I smoked and went for a walk. And I listened to Peter Thiel.
Somos una rolita, ¿no?
Sharing it with you guys.
Vamos a ver.
You sold out. You used to shill your Instagram. Yes, but only ironically, bro. Only ironically. By the way, I'm partnering with U-Sleeve. They make a sleeve to hold your vape, man. And hold the vape around your neck. And you put
Cannot find. What the fuck? ¿Por qué no?
$8. And by the way, have I talked about the therapy session that I had with BetterHelp? Yes, BetterHelp really changed my perspective on everything. And if you use my code right here, link in the description, you too can start improving your well-being with BetterHelp. And I'll also mention, if you're thinking about building a website, have you considered Squarespace? Squarespace. I've never been to the website, but I built my website with Squarespace, and it really changed my life. The website building experience provide. Oh, I can't keep this straight, man. Hey, Tony, you gotta write better scripts for this shit. The advertisers aren't gonna sponsor us. Oh yeah.
Bundle of modules. Ok.
Starlink
Salgo el
for
caché
homes,
aquí.
internet service. And by the way, while we're talking about internet service, have you considered surfing the internet with Surfshark? Surfshark VPN. You can pretend to be from any country, even some countries that don't have ads, or you can watch content, or you can purchase, or you can go play Counter-Strike on a VPN to make your ping time higher. So then when you run your cheat, you're less detectable by the server, right?
Siendo estático.
That kid, man, he's just an Amazon Fire Stick in a hotel. don't even know if that story's true, man. Look, and I'll say, like, you know, normally the people who are doing destructive shit, like the people who are like hacking
Condor.
and then like releasing like
This.
you know, like private,
Cannot
like the
get
TJ Maxx
static.
hacker and stuff, man. Like that's just illegal shit. But you know, we're to the point now when you're hacking Rockstar and stealing their GTA. Like, no, I mean, you know, kind of criminality is bad, but also, come on, man, this is funny as shit. Don't lock the kid up, man. You know, indefinite hospital detention. How true is any of this, right? God, you know. It's just like it's sad to think about. They pumped him full of some primitive pharmaceuticals, right? You know that Future's
Yes,
influencer.
there's
They
a
pumped me full of primitive pharmaceuticals. He tried to ransom them. Yeah, I don't know, man. We can't support criminality. Right? Criminality's bad, but we have to be able to separate the art from the artist. He used an Amazon. Yo, Tony Stark built this in his cave with scraps. No, ransomware is really no. Like the ransomwaring of like hospitals and stuff. No, those people are just straight up criminals, man. But if you believe fundamentally that information should be free, you gotta be an idealist, man. You gotta do it and be an idealist. You can't do it and be a like a criminal, right? It just taints the whole thing. But if you just hack people and say information should be free, man, no, I don't know. It's an easy cause. It's an easy terrorist cause for me to sympathize with. Don't worry. I heard recently that the NSA and the CIA are less well run than the DMV. So you know. That's a kind of a comforting thought, to be honest. It's true. I don't know if it's true, but it's kind of a comforting thought. Unix dead? Yeah, I vaguely remember that. I met him once. Cool guy. Do I support code as law, ethos, and crypto?
¿Por qué sigue cargando ese archivo? Todos me llevan a esta task. Ok, sí es cierto, no estoy obteniendo el task ID.
It's hard, right? I can see both sides of that argument. I can see
No
both sides of
entiendo
that
por qué sigue
argument.
cargando
Like,
este archivo.
I don't know. Do we have a civilization or not? Like you gotta be against stealing, man. You gotta be against stealing, but like, I don't know. Like, here's what I support. Here's what I would support on the code is law question. One way to make all systems much more secure is to make hacking legal, right? Imagine a world where hacking was legal. It'd be an interesting world because I gave this talk once and I couldn't stand like by the end of my quote unquote security career. And this was the new line that I was giving people. I'm like, you guys, if you actually cared about security, we need to lobby to make hacking legal, right? Because then things will actually become secure. As soon as hacking is legal, right, the cost to find the browser exploit will no longer be 100K, right? It'll be 100 million. Because when hacking is legal, we could have, you know, large, well-funded corporations trying to exploit browsers, right? And then we actually get secure code. Yeah, I think here's what I'm gonna say about code is law. All right, I got this. I love this analogy. Oh man, we have two zones, right? We have like the P versus E zone and the P versus P zone, right? We have two. Code is law, right? Oh, come on, that's basic shit. We need that. I like that, right? And if you enter the PvP zone, you are a consenting participant in the code is law game, right? I love it. Like, you know, you got in on Pancake Swap and someone robbed all the pancakes from the Master Chef. Like, bro, sorry. Sorry, you're in the PvP zone, right? So we have the PvP zone of crypto where code is law, and the PvE zone, like USDC, right? Like you stealing USDC, man. You're knocking over Mt. Gox and stealing Bitcoin. I mean, that might have been illegal beyond a code is law thing. But like, you know, like the DAO. You know, remember the original DAO hack in Ethereum? Would have the DAO hack been in the PvP zone? In which case, the DAO hacker could have been like, "Pwned, you noobs," right? Like that's the world we want to live in. We want to live in a world where we have clarity. We have clarity about those laws, right? Because like, I mean, you still might want to not go around bragging about how you pwned the noobs, right? Because someone might, you know, shoot you. But PvP and PvE. My code is law, right? Unless I lose money, right? That's what it is in crypto right now. A lot of idealists talking about how code is law. No, government, you have to come give me my pancakes back. Someone swapped my pancakes. Right? You have these crypto companies. It's actually kind of funny, right? They might talk on Twitter about how code is law, and then they get hacked, and yeah. So you know, we gotta have consent, right? It's all about consent. I love consent, you know. And someone else how fast they switch once they're hacked. Yeah. I don't know if PancakeSwap got hacked. I'm not trying to slander PancakeSwap here. I just think it's a funny name, right? I love the Binance Smart Chain. I didn't make money on the Binance Smart Chain. I did not. I wanted to make $2 million on Binance Smart Chain, but I didn't make any money on Binance Smart Chain. Caroline, is she free? Is she free? What's she up to? Cheap ETH, though. Alright guys, I scammed you all, guys. Cheap ETH, man, I pre-mined it, and I hid the pre-mine right there in the code, man. Oh man, you can go join DevETH, man. Is DevETH still up? I'm waiting for the tiny grad. Oh. I'm waiting for this is the cheap ETH hater Discord, right? I just love to see the Thymos, you know. For reference, I lost $5,000 on cheap ETH, right? So whenever all the haters on hackers, George was involved in a shady crypto project. Oh my god. Like, this is why no one legit wants to get involved, and all you get are scammers, right? You know, you just. Yeah, no, the DevETH guy was a big name hater in the cheap ETH Discord. You know, he put up a website. He made his own chain, right? We made the cheap ETH bridge from cheap ETH to. But it's all about having a good time, and a lot of people in crypto forgot that when they got rich, right? And that's why crypto is sad. Because like, you know, people get rich and they all forget about having a good time, right? You get hacked, you all forget about your ideals, about code being law real fast, right? All right. Is crypto still EACC? Bros, I'm not EACC, okay? Like this is like it's not. Twitter movements are I don't have that in my bio, right? Like we can talk about effective accelerationism as an idea, right? It's like the free zone of Scientology, right? Auditing is pretty good. I love whipping out my e-meter to get people to calm down, right? But like I'm not gonna pay the Church of Scientology, right? Like read Dianetics and buy an e-meter. Clean grad coin. Alright. Good stream. That's today's stream. I think we covered a lot of good topics. I'm sorry I don't have any answers for you guys. But we talked about accelerationism and then techno-pessimism, and that's what news is, okay? So we did news tonight. And that's why I was just chatting. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah. If you celebrate Kwanzaa, does anyone actually celebrate Kwanzaa? If you celebrate Kwanzaa, you have a great Kwanzaa. You have the best Kwanzaa you could have, man. We love everybody on this stream. If you celebrate Festivus, I think that's a holiday thing, man. If you celebrate the flying spaghetti monster, fuck you. I hate atheists, man. That's the one religion I can't tolerate. You guys are so dogmatic, spreading your shitty atheists. There's no God beliefs, man. You all read Dawkins and you got smug. Like, go read the Bible. George, I hate that he says Christian shit. Oh my God, I'm kidding, man. You know what? It's like the what's the narcissism of small differences? No, we're spreading holiday love, everybody. Happy holidays to all faiths and denominations, but really Merry Christmas, because the meek shall inherit the earth. Jesus Christ. All right. Bye, everybody.
Órale, wow, qué suave, ¿no? Ajá, también cómo haces el... ¿Qué? ¿Qué? Pues echa las papas. Sí. Sí. Entera. No, no, entera, entera. Algo así. Se puede dar zoom aquí. No, no, no. No, 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 no. te dice esto se está grabando o algo, ¿no? Ok. No entiendo qué es esto. A ver, voy a chequear qué se escucha. ¿Cómo voy a chequear qué se escucha? A ver, voy a chequear qué se escucha. What? Ahí creo que se escucha bien yo y esa madre. Vamos a ahí creo que se escucha. Es que hablo bien bajito, ¿no? Ni pedo. No puedo apagar esto. ¿Qué son estos? Son... No entiendo esto. Todo trabado. Bueno, pues no sé. Esta madre ya solo quedó. Falta arreglar algo de seguro. Esto está pasando por caché o algo. Pues no sé por qué lo sigue sacando de statics y en todos lados le estoy diciendo que lo saque de bundle. Voy a hacer una prueba de crear un file system para que se llame static y que vaya ahí directo. Pero por lo mientras, mira, ya cargo. Está. merengue al principio, ¿no? Podemos empezar a hacer cámara y empezar con esto aquí. Vamos a mover esto acá. O sea, yo digo que este ocuparía uno menos. No sé, es que sí está bien largo, pero no sé, a ver, vamos a ir. A ver, ok, vamos a guardar la sesión más así como blip. Aquí, boludo. Empieza a mirar aquí la trita. Bueno, no sé, creo que lo voy a dejar. Voy a ponerme a hacer cosas de comida y cosas para la noche. Y bla, bla, bla. Espero que sea una bonita noche. Nos vemos mañana. Feliz Navidad. Dale duro. Sa. Pongan incómodos a sus familiares. Así de, tú te pasaste verga este año y bla, bla. Toca. Fuga.